And I'm back with the second half of our class. So exactly what is strategic HRM then? Well, strategic HRM, according to Michael Armstrong, refers to the overall direction that the organization wants to pursue in achieving its objectives through the correct utilization of its people, human resources. Now, it's argued that because intellectual capital is a huge source of competitive advantage in any organization, meaning the humans are what provide value to that company. And in the last analysis, it is the people who implement the strategic plan. So therefore, top management has to take these key considerations fully into account when they develop their corporate strategies. And Jeffrey Mello actually defines strategic HRM as the development of a consistent, aligned collection of practices, programs, and policies to facilitate the achievement of an organization's strategic objectives. Now, from my own experience as a business owner, I can say that it's really a mix of the two, which will make for strategic HRM to be excellent, where people are strategic assets. It is our humans. We are not machines. We are humans. We each come with a different skill set, and we must maximize and fully develop that skill set so that people can really be giving their 100% and they are fully utilized by the organization. So the employees must first understand and share the values and objectives of the organization. So as part of the human resource department, it is very important for us to be able to communicate those values, the core values, the objectives, and the business's mission and vision in order for our employees to be on board, to take that and feel that they are part of it, and in order for them to be able to have high morale and high productivity. So what challenges can we face? Well, first of all, one of the main things is that it's important and quite difficult for an organization to be able to integrate people and align them with the strategic goals of the organization. So it's very important that we find a way for us to ensure that people will be on board. This could be done through many different ways, and we will be talking about this through our course. But for example, a specific reward system could be one of the ways that we could use in order to get people aligned with our organizational goals. And of course, being able to manage employees effectively. If you have an employee, for example, who is very outspoken, and for example, is one of the people who is proactive, they always have great ideas, but the boss, the person who manages that person, doesn't like to be bothered and just wants that person to do what they're asked for, well, of course, we are not managing that employee effectively. This employee, given that they are proactive and given that they are very outspoken, should have a boss or a manager who is willing to understand, accept that kind of personality, and be able to make the most of that kind of personality. So exactly, what is the process of strategic management then? Well, first of all, we see that a company has created their mission statement, the purpose, the mission and vision of their company, and why they exist. From that, we analyze the environment in which that business organization is operating in, where we are going to be analyzing, for example, the competitors. We are going to be identifying the rules, regulations, laws that the company must abide by. We are going to also take a look at the technology that is needed and the technology that is available for the organization in order to be working at its optimum rate. We're also going to be analyzing the markets that the company is going to be operating in. We're also going to be identifying trends within the market that we are going to be operating in, or within our core target group as well. And of course, we're going to be identifying economic trends. Now, this doesn't have to do with the trends of, for example, my core target group, my customers are I see that one of the trends within the Generation Z, which are main clients, are now looking to TikTok, for example, in order to learn more about these kind of products that we sell. Well, it's not just about that. We also are going to be looking at economic trends, which means is the economy growing? Is it in decline? What is interest rates, etc. Then self-assessment. We as a company must also be able to audit ourselves or assess ourselves in an objective way. So here we are going to, for example, create a SWOT analysis, where first we are going to identify our strengths and our weaknesses. We are going to take a look at all of the different resources that we have. And resources don't just have to do with our raw materials and money. It also has to do with our human resources, which are our most important asset. So we're going to be taking a look at our finances, our physical resources, for example, our manufacturing plants, our offices, etc. Our human resources, technological resources that we have, and capital, because remember that when we are an organization, finance is one thing and treasury or cash flow is another thing. And of course, we're also going to be taking a look at the management systems that we have in our organization, our work culture, the kind of structure of our organization, work systems, etc. Then we're going to see how we can, the goals and objectives that we are going to define for our company to achieve after we have taken a look at all of the external environment in which we operate and taken a look at the internal environment that we have as an organization in regards to the mission statement that we have. We're going to now put pen to paper and we're going to define our goals. What are our company's objectives for this quarter, for this year, etc. And then from there, we're going to define and create a strategy in order for us, through the use of all of our resources, be able to attain those goals. So how can we formulate these strategies? Well, there are 5 very important variables that will help us to determine if a strategy is successful or not. First of all, the organizational structure. The strategy that we define must be able to be carried out based on the organizational structure that we have. If, for example, I have created a strategy that is going to require 5 people in the marketing department to carry it out, and I only have 1 person in the marketing department, then obviously that strategy is being set up for failure. It's never going to be a success. Also, the task design, the tasks that we create in order for a strategy to be well developed, this task must be broken down into little portions so that it's very clear for all of the people that are part of that action plan to be able to understand exactly what it is that they have to be doing and when they have to be doing it. For this, there are many tools that we can use, like, for example, the Gantt chart, which I'm not going to start talking about today, but we'll take a look at later on in our course. Then, of course, employee training. We have to ensure that if our employees are not able to carry out a specific task because they don't have the capacity to do so, then we will take those employees and train them so that they can become knowledgeable in that specific task, for example. We're also going to be creating a reward system so that people will increase morale and increase productivity. And of course, we're going to have an information system. Now, what do I mean by information system? In this sense, I don't refer to the intranet that the company uses, for example. I mean metrics, control. How are we going to be able to collect data, interpret that data, and analyze that data so that we can see if we're being successful or not? Now, when we are formulating the strategy, it usually takes place in the top levels of management, and then is defined, or shall we say, the idea is thought of by top management, and then the details are defined by the other levels of, for example, middle management. So HR as the strategic management process can actually be linked in 4 ways. first, the administrative linkage, where I'm going to be as an HR manager. For example, I'm going to be part of different administrative tasks like payroll, for example. There's also one-way and two-way linkage, which means that it can either be the strategic management, or shall we say top-level management, which is a downward type of communication where they are giving me information, but it can also be a two-way, which is back and forth. I, as the HR manager, am also going to be giving feedback about whether or not I believe that this strategy can be successful or not. And then integrative linkage is where it's not just based on specific tasks, but it is integrated throughout the organization. And to finish up, we're going to be taking a look at Porter's value chain. Now, Porter's value chain is an analysis that is done and is really looked at in business courses and in marketing courses, because they are a huge part of the strategy. And of course, since we're in strategic human resource management, we need to take a look at it today. So exactly, what is a value chain analysis? Well, this value chain is known as Porter's value chain. Michael Porter is a Harvard professor who coined this business management concept back in 1985. Basically, he says that a value chain is a collection of activities that a company undergoes that will create value for its customers. And he says that each different collection of activities will either create value for the company, or will create costs, generate costs for the company. Basically, his understanding is that added value will lead to a competitive advantage, which will lead to more people wanting to purchase your product and therefore having higher profitability. And the strength of the value chain really is in its approach, because it's a very comprehensive way for us to understand it. In the next slide, you will see exactly what I mean. Basically, the Porter's value chain sees the customer as the central principle rather than on specific departments and accounting expense categories. Even though we are talking about value and cost here, we're not thinking of accounting terms. Not at all. We're not thinking about assets and liabilities. We're not taking a look at that. We're looking at the different aspects of our company's or operations, and taking a look at how that is adding value or generating cost within the company, and basically taking a look at how these are linked to each other. So the value chain, the analysis, if done correctly, will actually paint a very clear picture about the sources of where value and loss can be found in the organization. And of course, this is extremely useful because as a strategic manager, you are able to identify it and then of course make changes. So this is what a value chain analysis looks like. Basically, they are 9 activities, and Porter grouped them into core activities, or shall we say primary activities, and support activities, which ones generate value, the others generate cost, and this leads to the margin, the profit that we have in the organization. So here, the primary activities are all of those activities within an organization that have to do with inbound logistics, outbound logistics, operations, marketing, and sales and service. We can say, for example, in order for us to understand it in a nutshell, that all of the primary activities are all of those activities that we can say that are attributable to the manufacturing of a specific product. Let's say that I'm selling bottled water, okay? And so in order for me to be able to sell the finished product, bottled water, first of all, I need inbound logistics. I need to buy the raw material. So I need water. And then of course I need to actually be able to manufacture and buy plastic so that I can make the bottles for the bottled water. Then the operations, my manufacturing plant, all of the employees that are working in the manufacturing plant and that are working to create that bottled water. Outbound logistics, it has to do with all of the warehouse storing, transport, etc. from our, our manufacturing plant to the retailers, to my client who is going to buy my bottled water. Marketing and sales. Well, this has to do with all of those activities, such as creating a brand. Marketing will be understanding what customer will be most interested, what kind of customer target group will be most interested in buying my product. They will determine the pricing of my product. They will be creating advertising in order for us to be able to sell and thus increase demand of our product. And sales will, of course, be the ones to actually go to the retailers, work out contracts, economies of scale, etc., so that we can sell our product. And service has to do with all of the service activities having to do with that specific product, such as the delivery, installation, repair, post-customer service, etc. These are the primary activities, and in Porter's value chain, it is understood that all of these add value, because even though we have to pay our employees, these are adding value because they are helping us get profit. They are all having to do with us being able to manufacture and sell and get this product to our clients' hands. Now, the support activities are all of those activities that are not attributable to one specific product, but that are necessary to have in an organization in order for our day-to-day operations to be successful. And so this is, for example, the infrastructure of the company. This has to do with, well, our legal department, our supply chain department, finance, etc. Our accounting department, for example, is not going to be having one person just working for that one brand of bottled water, but is actually going to be handling invoices and payments of other types of other brands that we sell in the house, etc. Human resource management, well, here we are. This has to do with us, with the human resources being managed in an effective way. So employee retention, covering vacancies, negotiating contracts, maternity leaves, etc. Technology development, of course, has to do with everything that requires the technological aspect in our company, from having computers that work well, to having an intranet that is updated regularly, ensuring that there are no bugs, etc. And procurement, well, I am the person who is in charge of purchasing, and so I'm going to be purchasing all of the raw materials that are needed for me for this for us to be able to manufacture this bottled water, but also for everything else that we sell in this company. It also has to do with, for example, handling inventory, communicating with suppliers, being able to negotiate economies of scales with our suppliers as well. And all of the support activities generate costs, whereas the primary activities are understood that they generate value. Support activities generate loss. And so the margin that we see here in green is basically the value, which we could say is what we have sold. Our bottled water costs $1. And the margin is the difference between the $1 and all of the costs that we have to pay for our support activities, and that the resulting amount would be the company margin. So that brings me to the end of today's class. For next session, I would like you to, first of all, download the textbook that we will be using for this term. It is up on our classroom stream. It's called Strategic Human Resource Management, A Guide to Action. So for our next session, I would like you to read chapters 1 and 2 of our textbook. Have a great week, everybody, and I can't wait to see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.